I know you have grit, but do you have gratitude? On this episode of the Unfinished Leadership Podcast, I'm going to talk to you about three things that great leaders are grateful for. Stick around for this month's episode of the Unfinished Leadership Podcast. Well, hey, welcome to the Unfinished Leadership Podcast. My name is John, and it's been a joy to provide for you each month these podcasts. And sometimes I have a friend on the podcast. Sometimes it's just me and you. Last month, one of my friends, Chris Delanere, was on the podcast, and we had a great conversation. If you didn't see that one or listen to that one, I want to encourage you to do that. We talked about resilience. Resilience is so important. You know that. I know that. Why? Well, leadership is super hard, right? It requires resilience. And through Chris's story, man, it was just so inspiring. I've heard from so many of you on how inspiring and helpful that leadership podcast was on resilience. But what else besides resilience do we need? The Unfinished Leadership Podcast, I just started it this year. This is season 1, is to help you and I as leaders grow. And so I am a fellow leader. I'm in the trenches of leadership as well. I lead in the nonprofit space as a pastor of a church. I also, on the side, have Unfinished Leadership as a coaching and consulting and content creation business. And so I'm with leaders. I coach leaders, but I'm also a leader. And I know that leaders like you and like me, yeah, we need resilience, but what else? So many things. On this episode, and I think it's timely, this is coming to you in the month of November, right before Thanksgiving. I think it's timely to talk about gratitude. Now, gratitude, as you know, it's popular. A lot of people are writing about it. There's some pretty incredible brain science, neuroscience on the power of gratitude and how that can affect us in so many different ways. And so I'm thankful, no pun intended, for in many ways how gratitude is trending. In the Stay Ready Journal, that's one of the things you do every single day is you write down 3 things that you're grateful for. I have found that, man, gratitude is so important in all of life for every person, but how about for leaders? It's so important. Epicurus, he said it this way. He talked about how, hey, do not spoil what you have because all you're thinking about is what you don't have. And then he said something like this. This isn't a perfect quote, direct quote, but he said, because here's the truth. So many of the things you have right now are the things years ago you hoped and wished that one day you might have. And so that's the John Peacock translation of that quote. That's an ancient quote, but it's true. Man, there's so many things that you have right now that 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, you're like, oh my goodness, if this could be true. Well, it's now true. And so gratitude, it's so important in life, but how about leadership? I have found that gratitude in leadership, it's one of those multipliers. It multiplies so many different things. It creates a certain vibe and culture within the office space, within your own leadership. You know what it's like to be around a person or a leader that isn't grateful. They have that undisciplined pursuit of more. Nothing pleases them. Nothing satisfies them. They're kind of like that broken cistern in Jeremiah chapter 2, if you've ever read the Bible, that it's like that cistern, right, that has like breaks and cracks in it. Said in a more modern way, it's like a bucket with holes in the bottom. You just can never fill that person up. Well, that's what a person or a leader is like that doesn't have gratitude. But how about a leader that is grateful? A grateful leader infects the room. A grateful leader is someone you and I love to follow. A grateful leader, man, they produce something powerful. And so I want to talk about 3 things. 3 things is I kind of got curious thinking about gratitude with it being November and Thanksgiving time. Gratitude is on our mind, but there's 3 things that great leaders are grateful for. And that's what I want to talk about for the rest of our time today. The first thing that great leaders are grateful for is this. They are grateful for the men or the women that helped them get to where they're at right now. It's true. John Maxwell, he talks about being like a turtle on a fence. He's like, if you ever have seen a turtle on the fence, that turtle knows that they didn't get there by themselves. The same is true for you. You didn't get there by yourself. Same is true for me. I didn't get here by myself. And so great leaders, I've noticed this over the years, they love telling stories. And maybe they do this for others, but I think they do this for themselves. They tell stories of the people that took chances on them. They tell stories of the people that back in the day built a platform for them to stand on, to get reps, to understand, to try things, to experiment. And so great leaders, they're grateful for the people that help them get to where they're at today. So many names come to my mind. The first name that I think of are Walt and Donna Peacock. Those are my parents. And Mom and Dad, I'm grateful for you. I literally wouldn't be here without you. And I just think of all the grace required in raising me. I think of all the different times you showed up and you gave me opportunity to grow in life. And so I think about my mom and dad all the time. And I also think about some other names. I think about a guy by the name of Rex Minor. When I first got into leadership after college, Rex Minor took a chance on me. I was 25 years old, and I'll never forget, I was working at Willow Creek Church. I didn't know anything about leadership. And Rex said, "Hey, John, I have an assignment for you. I want you to run point and lead the men's retreat for all of Willow World." At that time, Willow was about 30,000 people that attended there. And I was in charge of the men's retreat. This would be thousands of guys. So I had to find the venue. I had to do all the stuff. I had to build a team. And so Rex Minor, man, I think about you, Rex, and the chances that you took on me. I think about Russ Moore, my first leadership coach. The way that you invested in me. I remember reading Next Generation Leader by Andy Stanley back in 2004, 2005. And in that book, Andy Stanley talked about a leadership coach. I'm like, well, that makes sense. I've been an athlete my whole life. I've always had a coach. And Russ Moore came along. And Russ, you took a chance on me. You coached me for free for 5 years. And I would not be who I am, and I would not be where I am if not for your influence. I think about KB and the influence you've had on me over the past 7, 8 years. I would not look the way that I look. I would not be as healthy as I am. I would not have the thought life and the mindset that I have without your influence. I think about Bill Hybels, and I'll never forget when I sent an email to Bill, and I just said, "Hey, it's a joy to be on your staff." At this time, I'd never met him yet, but been working there for a while, and just said, "Hey, I'm praying for you. Thank you for all the different things you do at our church." And then I remember his response back was, "Hey, I've been meaning to email you and to connect with you. I need you to get ready." And he said, "Buckle up because you're going to be preaching at New Community here in the next month." That was their midweek service. Thousands of people attended it. And out of nowhere, Bill Hybels threw me into the deep end. He took a risk on me. And so there's just so many different people that come to mind that took a risk on me. And I would not be who I am, and I would not be where I am if not for them. How about you? When was the last time you kind of went down memory lane and you wrote out a list of those people? I want to just encourage you to do this because this is one of the things I've noticed that great leaders are grateful for. Take it even a step further. Let those people know. Send them a card, send them an email, pick up the phone, call them, and just say, "Hey, thanks. You may not know this, but I would not be who I am or where I am without your influence." Great leaders are grateful for those that help them get to where they're at. Secondly, great leaders, they're grateful for the people that they lead. Leadership is the people business. You know what I mean? Like, if you're leading and no one's following, you're taking a walk. John Maxwell said, "You're not leading." So the only way that you're leading anything is if people are following. And so let's talk about those people that are following your lead. How do you feel about them? And what I know, because I lead people as well, is if you're a leader and you're leading, that means you're in pain. I did an episode, and we can link to this. I did an episode on leadership pain a number of months ago, and it's true that if you're not in pain, you're not leading. If you're trying to please everybody, you're definitely not leading. You have to make hard decisions. Hurting people and harming people are very different things. You will hurt people when you lead, okay? And so as you and I are leading, it's easy if we're not careful due to the nature of leadership, due to the nature of making hard decisions, due to the nature of moving seats. It's your job to make sure that you have the right seats on the bus and the right people are sitting in the right seats. That's your job. And so what I know, because of all of that's required within leadership, if you're not careful, you and I can slip into seeing our people through a lens of unappreciation. We can see only their flaws. We can see only the things that drive us nuts about what they do. It's kind of like a parent. If you're not careful, all you can think of when you look at your kids are the things they're not doing right, and yet that's no way to parent at all. Same for leadership. What if you chose to see your people with a specific lens, and that lens is, God, help me see them the way that you do. God, help me see the potential that they have. God, help me see the great things that they're doing. And I'm going to coach them hard, but help me see the great things that they're doing. Help me encourage them. God, help me be grateful for the people that I have now. It wasn't that long ago you were praying that that seat would be filled with someone. Well, now that seat is filled with someone, but are you grateful for them? People know when you are grateful for them. There's so many different practical ways you and I can express that gratitude for them. And so 3 things great leaders are grateful for. Number 1, great leaders are grateful for the people that help them get to where they're at. Great leaders are grateful for the people they have right now on their team. And lastly, great leaders are grateful for the opportunity to grow. Leadership is hard. It's painful. Right now, you and I are aware of all the different ways we need to get better. Man, I'm in that season as well, and I've been in that season for years, constantly aware of the challenge, constantly aware of the difficulty of leadership. And great leaders, they are grateful for the opportunity to grow. The book I want to draw your attention to this month is Beyond High Performance. Beyond High Performance, a friend of mine wrote this a couple years ago, Jason Jaggard. Jason, I met him, probably 15 years ago. And Jason, appreciate you so much. And you are world-class in so many different ways. And I love your book and the organization you've built, you and your team, and you lead, coaching elite leaders all over the globe. It's an incredible thing. Well, in his book, Beyond High Performance, there's a lot of different things that you and I could learn from. But with this third one around great leaders, they're grateful for the opportunity to grow. Jason Jagger talks about something that I think is really important. He said a lot of times in leadership, we're only aware of what our relationships are like, at work. Meaning, like, we think about, all right, at work, here's what my relationships are like. I have a good relationship with this person, and maybe that person, I need to work on it. So, of course, relationships at work matter. But he says what's even more important is asking the question, what is your relationship to work? Both questions are important, but a lot of times we don't ask that second question. A lot of times we don't ask, what is my relationship to work? And in this book, he gives you 4 options to choose from. He says some people, their relationship to work is that they see themselves as a prisoner. They're completely stuck. There's no way out. They have to do it. No one else can do it. And a prisoner mindset is a very difficult mindset. I've been in that mindset more than a few times over the last 14 years. I'm like, I'm a prisoner to this. I can't go anywhere. I started it. It's in my hometown. My family goes here. What in the world am I going to do? Another option, he says, of the 4 is a mercenary. This is a person that loves the pay, right? They love the paycheck. And just like any mercenary, hey, if anyone pays more, they're out the door, right? They're a hired hand. And that can be and is, for many people, their relationship to work. He said the third option is a missionary. And this is a person that shows up and their relationship to work is one of a deep cause. They would probably even call it a calling. And he advises against that. And, he and I would probably have a debate on this. He'd probably win because he's a lot smarter than me. But he says, if you have that relationship to work as a missionary, be careful because a lot of times you will blow past boundaries. You'll never stop working. That leads to burnout. And it's all because of your relationship to work. And so in the book, he encourages his readers to choose instead the 4th way to think about this. And that is to have this mindset and relationship to your work as an athlete. Now, I've been an athlete my whole life, played all throughout college. We've talked about this before. And that, of course, grabbed my attention. He said, choosing to have this athlete relationship to work is the best kind of relationship. Why? He says, well, in sports, what you see them do in a stadium is only a fraction of their job. He said the lion's share of their job is what no one sees. It's their diet that no one sees. It's their workout. regiment that no one sees. It's that trainer that they've hired. It's that cold plunge that they get into. It's all the different things that no one sees that actually gives them the opportunity to perform under the lights. And he says an athletic relationship to your work is the best kind of relationship to your work because you welcome the challenge. You welcome the challenge. You think about it differently. So let me ask you, are you grateful for the challenge at hand? Are you grateful for the difficulty that is facing you right now? Well, when you and I choose to say, all right, I'm going to see it like an athlete sees it, it changes how we feel about it. We say, bring on the challenge, bring on the difficulty, because this is an opportunity for me to grow. These are the three things that great leaders are grateful for. How about for you? I want to encourage you to stop by unfinishedleadership.com. You can download the episode guide. Go through this with your team. Go through this with anyone that you lead and begin to have these conversations. We want to come alongside you and serve you well on your leadership journey. I also want to encourage you to share this episode. Sharing is caring. Maybe there's one leader out there that you know is really grateful. You can just send them this episode and say, hey, man, you're doing it. You're killing it. Great job. Thought you would like this episode. Sharing is caring. We want you to get the word out. But the last thing I want to say every time on these episodes is this: grace is a gift, but growth is a choice. And I want to encourage you to continue to choose growth. So good to be with you guys on this episode. Until next time, I'm John Peacock. This is the Unfinished Leadership Podcast.